Coming up at 5, a change people called for 5 years ago in Ferguson, now coming to the county police department, when we'll see body cameras on their officers.
People in Dayton, Ohio and El Paso, Texas are reflecting on the warning signs they say they reported about the two suspects from this weekend's shootings. Next at 5. Let's get right to breaking news happening along Interstate 70 in North St. Louis. What started as a call for a crash and a car on fire has turned into a triple shooting investigation. Sky 5 is live right now over westbound Interstate 70 near the Bircher exit. That's where St. Louis firefighters say 3 people are in critical condition. Most of the emergency efforts are taking place right now on Plover Avenue, which runs perpendicular to the interstate. Now, police tell us 3 men were shot. 2 are unconscious and not breathing. A 3rd person was taken to the hospital. The homicide division is handling the case. And here's a heads up for drivers. Just 1 lane of westbound Interstate 70 is getting by right now. We have a crew on the way to the scene of the shooting. We'll continue to bring you updates on air and, of course, on the 5 on Your Side app.
President Trump has arrived in El Paso, Texas, his 2nd stop today as he visits the sites of 2 weekend mass shootings. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kay Quinn.
And I'm Mike Bush. We're walking you through our top 5 stories. The president was in Dayton, Ohio earlier, as were his supporters and some protesters. He spent his day with victims' families, survivors, and first responders. He also met with lawmakers who, some say, challenged him on gun control.
Both the senator and I spoke very directly what we've been saying the whole time about the need for common sense gun legislation.
3 countries issued travel advisories for the U.S., warning people about visiting in the wake of these mass shootings. And Venezuela's advisory specifically names St. Louis on its list of dangerous cities to avoid. Japan and Uruguay are the other 2 countries cautioning travelers about violence and hate against migrant groups all across America.
An FDA investigation has turned up more reports of seizures in people who vape.
The agency first launched the probe back in April.
They had 35 reported cases when they started, and now they have found 127 over the last 10 years. Most of the e-cigarette users were young adults. The FDA can't say for sure if vaping caused the seizures.
Police searching for a man seen in this video, and they're asking for your help to identify him. They say he's connected to the murder of Raphael Gibbons that happened in July on Halls Ferry Road. If you have any information that can help them, call Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS.
The Environmental Protection Agency is at a Metro recycling plant that caught fire yesterday, sending up huge clouds of smoke. Investigators determined that recycled computers sparked the fire in Granite City, and firefighters put it out overnight. The EPA is looking around today and figuring out their next steps.
Friday marks 5 years since the events in Ferguson and the protests that followed. A lot has changed in the years since, and almost everyone agrees there's still a lot of work to be done. Our Sarah Maki is live in Ferguson, where organizers are preparing for the 5th anniversary. Sarah, plans are starting to take shape there?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Kay. I want you to take a look at these signs. This is just one set of the 5 that were put around Ferguson today. And on each of them, an outline of all of the events that they have planned. We actually caught up with an organizer for Chosen for Change on the 5th anniversary weekend for Michael Brown Jr. They said that there are a few themes that they're really working on this weekend. One of those is about bringing the message of the man himself, also bringing the community together, and then also gratitude for all of the changes that they have seen in recent years. One of the changes, they say, comes in the form of body cameras for St. Louis County police officers, which will be used when they respond to events this weekend.
I can't say how many right now because, again, this is right hot off the press with the contract being signed this week. But we felt like it was important to roll some facets out this on the special operations side as fast as we could. So we're trying to get that up to speed.
All right, so like you just heard the chief said, this is a brand new program. A lot of technology, much more advanced than you would have seen officers adopting just 5 years ago. So we are still working on that story, and we will bring you a small preview of one of the events planned here for the anniversary weekend. We're still working on that story for tonight at 6. But for now, live in Ferguson, Sarah Maki, 5 on your side.
The Urban League announced its plans today for an area that was home to businesses destroyed in the 2014 Ferguson protests. A multi-million-dollar shopping center called the Urban League Plaza will go up on West Florissant Avenue. It will be home to First Bank, Sweetie Pie's Restaurant, At Home Care, a minority business incubator, and a banquet facility. They're all still raising money for the project.
New at 5, a St. Louis firefighter is sending a message to thieves. He says someone tried to steal his dog right in front of him. Happened Tuesday in the Bevo Mill neighborhood in South St. Louis City. Our Jasmine Payute is here in studio now with more. Jasmine?
Kay, this first responder did not want to speak on camera, but was fed up after someone tried to steal his dog months after someone stole his truck. Now, both incidents happened along Taft Avenue. The first responder says Tuesday, a woman walked in through his back gate and tried to snatch his 7-year-old black lab, Izzy. Izzy isn't exactly a small dog and bit back, causing the woman to hop in a car and drive away. He says before that, someone stole his car. They used a tow truck and stripped it for parts. He's sending a PSA to those criminals that residents in his neighborhood are not afraid to come forward.
Letting criminals know that, hey, we're not going to stand for this. We're going to go ahead and put your face on Facebook if, you know, we've got camera footage of you. We're going to put your face on the news if we've got footage of you. We're going to let people know what you guys are doing, and that could hopefully make things change for the better.
Thankfully, he was able to keep his dog and later found his car. Coming up at 6, we spoke to another resident who says crimes like these are enough to make her want to leave the city. We'll have why. Okay?
Thank you, Jasmine.
Well, crime around St. Louis is exactly why the school system is asking for volunteers to accompany students at their bus stops. Better Family Life has joined with other groups to find 500 volunteers. They want 2 people at 225 different stops for the first week of school. They already have a lot of applicants, but they're still looking for about 120 more people. You can sign up by visiting Better Family Life on Page Boulevard or going to a recruitment event tomorrow night at the Board of Education building.
Now to an update on a tragic story in South Carolina with ties to our area. Investigators revealed a man who just confessed to killing a young mom and her 5-year-old daughter may also be connected to a murder in St. Louis. The I-Team's PJ Randalla learned today that this confessed killer has a long history of crime in St. Louis. PJ?
That's right, Kay. We're talking about 28-year-old Dante Maurice Johnson of Hillsdale. And police say this wasn't a random crime. He was acquainted with his victims. On Monday, 29-year-old Cherie Bradley was found dead in her apartment. Police are still searching for the remains of her 5-year-old daughter, Nevaeh. Police say Johnson confessed to killing them both and hiding the child's remains in a dumpster. Meantime, we found Johnson's criminal history in St. Louis goes back to 2009 for theft and weapons charges. South Carolina investigators say Johnson is a suspect in the murder of a St. Louis woman that happened here earlier this summer. But local police haven't released any details or confirmed that. The missing child's family, meanwhile, says they're still holding out hope that she will be found alive.
Nevaeh, don't worry about nothing, sweetheart, because you know God. You have told me about God, Nevaeh, and I believe that God's going to keep you wherever you at, and God's going to bring you back to us. So.
We've also learned Johnson has been charged with assault on a female in 2015 and 2016 in North Carolina. He's currently being held on murder charges without bond.
President Trump is talking gun control, the proposal he supports and the one he won't consider.
There's been a lot of talk about warning signs after 2 mass shootings this weekend, where the ex-girlfriend of the Dayton, Ohio suspect says she did report some.
And a family in Texas has a red flag story of their own, the interaction between the El Paso suspect and their son that they reported to police.